Two old guys in the records, one old guy for now, as Mike and I decided when to return to the studio for some new segments. But until then, we press on with some fun segments about our love and our passion for our records. Welcome to Friday Faves, where I delve deep into my record singles collection and I rediscover some gems. And today's episode is definitely one of those gems. We go back to the coolest song from 1967. It oozes mood. The out there lyrics still confounds listeners even today. It's got the dreamiest, Johann Bach influenced organ. I'm talking about
Turn the wider shade of pale.
Procol Harum'S A Wider Shade of Pale. Wow, what an amazing song. This single is one of the rare singles that sold over 10 million physical copies. Yes, it gets chosen to be on lists of most important songs all the time. It's been on soundtracks for period pieces, in the 60s. It is one of those amazing songs. A bit of background, there isn't that much background because this was amazingly their debut single. Imagine coming up as this for your debut. Yes, it was. And so a little bit of background, we've got Gary Brooker, who was in a band called the Paramounts, and AB will like this detail. He was with Robin Trower on guitar there. But anyway, he leaves that band and, he gets with Keith Reid, who's a lyricist, a poet actually, and of course Matthew Fisher on organ, Ray Royer on guitar, and of course David Knight on bass. Now what's interesting about this band, Procol Harum, is you got a piano and an organ, so you got two very, very similar sort of instruments coming together. Yes, and of course Gary Stevens is their manager, and he sort of names the band Procol Harum after a Burmese cat. There you are. So it's really out there. But what a song to come up with as a first single. Number one in the UK, number 5 in the USA, number 1 here in Australia, and 8 weeks in Melbourne. But what I love about, what catches your attention is that dreamy organ. Wider Shade of Pale. The title was inspired by Keith Reid's encounter at a party where he overheard someone say, "My dear, you are a wider shade of pale. There you are." He was watching a lot of surreal French films, like French surreal films, like things like Last Year and Marion Bar. And of course, Brooker was listening to a lot of, classical music, and that, that's why you've got this, Johann Sebastian Bach influence there too, But I love the cinematic effect of the song, as the lyrics describe, the setting, the characters, and of course the music acts like a soundtrack, creating the mood. It's just perfect, and the lyrics are amazing. I love the lyrics. Like I said, they confound people even today. But there's one part where he says, "And the room was humming harder as the ceiling flew away." Yes, like the ceiling flew away, right? And as we called out for another drink, the waiter brought a tray of drinks. Yes, so I think it's about an encounter with a woman that goes terribly wrong. So I'm sure lots and lots of drinks were their consolation, or the persona's consolation. Yes, and later on there's a great line where he says, although my eyes were open, they might have just as well been closed. For what's happened. Like there's a lot of maybe regret. Who knows? But the only downturn in this was a protracted legal case where Fisher, the organ player, contests, for royalties, and it's protracted over, many, many, many years. Goes, there's appeals, etc., etc. It reaches the House of Lords. It's the first copyright case to reach the House of Lords, and they, decide in favour of Fisher. So Fisher gets a credit now on this single, but nonetheless, it is one of those timeless classics. Yes, it takes you back to 1967, but it's one of the rare, songs of that era that, went beyond those generations. And like I said, on so many movie soundtracks, and, it introduced it to new audiences, and it sort of really is one of those important singles. Yes, Procol Harum'S A Wider Shade of Pale. Did you like the song? Did you buy the song? Did you like the band? Tell us about it. Send in your comments, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you next Friday with another Friday Fave.